But an important one. If something happened to you, would your loved ones be able to pay for funeral costs or even day-to-day expenses? Well, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and financial professional Mike Kojonen, owner of Principal Preservation Services, joins us tonight to talk about the benefits of taking this next step. Mike, as always, thanks for being here.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me.
We said kind of a bit of an unpleasant conversation, but an important one. So let's start with what are the different types of life insurance, because there is quite a few to choose from.
There's a couple main ones that we talk about, depending on what the need is for it. And I think the most common one and the cheapest one out there is term insurance. And that's where you're going to get, say, a specific amount, say $250,000 of coverage for 10 years, 15, maybe 30 years long. But when that term is done, so does that life insurance. And there's nothing left. A lot of your employers, that's what they offer their employees. And they'll give you that term insurance. And then when you're done with employment, that drops off. Now, when you look at the other one called permanent insurance, now, it's going to be more expensive, but it also has a cash value portion to that insurance that grows tax-free. So depending on what the needs are, there's different types of insurance.
So you really need to kind of weigh your options there.
Absolutely.
Why do we need life insurance? Seems like a simple question, but there are all kinds of reasons, really.
Yeah, protection, first of all, is you want to make sure that your loved one is taken care of. If something happened to me, I want to make sure my wife has enough for several years and pay off all the debts and college education. A lot of business partners need that for the partner, in case one of the partners pass on, to make sure that they're covered. And funeral expenses and all those types of debts. That's primarily the main need. But when you also look at for taxation, the best way to transfer wealth from one generation to the other is through life insurance, because your beneficiaries inherit that tax-free. And so it's great to get that big chunk of money, whether it be $250,000, $1 million, tax-free. It does not count on your income taxes. Part of that tax-free growth in life insurance, if you have a permanent one, is the cash value. That grows tax-free every year as well. Unlike your mutual funds where you get a 1099, you pay taxes on that, the cash portion grows tax-free. And interesting thing is you can use that several ways. A lot of people use that for college education. You take cash-free withdrawals out of that to pay for college education, and it doesn't count against for financial aid. And a lot of people use it for retirement planning. You can take cash-free loans against your plan, your life insurance plan, and that's tax-free. It doesn't count against income, especially when you look at retirement and Social Security. It might be the difference of your Social Security being taxed or not taxed.
Well, all kinds of benefits right there.
Right.
What else should we consider when buying life insurance?
The coverage amount is key. How much do you need? A lot of my clients are retired already. They're debt-free, and they can get by. If one passes, they have enough. But I said, you always want to make sure you have enough for at least the funeral. So minimum, have funeral costs covered. And there's irrevocable funeral trusts they can put aside. That's Medicaid-proofed you can look at. But when you're young and healthy, get as much as you can. You can get a whole bunch of coverage very cheap at that point. So look at the coverage amounts, and then you want to look at what's the cost. Is it right to have a term? Is it right to have permanent insurance? So you got to look at the cost, because it's going to be a lot more expensive to have that permanent insurance. But also, you look at males pay more typically than females. What age? Are you a smoker? What areas do you live in? What kind of occupation you do? What kind of activities do determine what the cost of that insurance is?
But going back to funerals, I mean, we were just talking, and the average funeral now is
12 to 17 grand, depending on the cheap one. I think 12 grand. Obviously, cremation might be a little bit cheaper, but people pay just as much for a funeral they do as some people pay for weddings, which is ridiculous. And the last one is just you want to keep reevaluating, because anytime there's a life event, it triggers you to look at your life insurance. Whether you get married, you have a child, you go through a divorce, or you lose somebody, you buy a house, get a job promotion. Those should all be events that you should reevaluate. Do you have enough insurance? Every couple of years, you should look at that.
All right, so start shopping for those policies now.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Always good to see you.